Papa, please don't. The gunshot exploded through the narrow alley, shattering the night like glass. The impact hit her chest before her brain could register what happened, a freight train slamming into her ribs, throwing her backward into the rain-slicked pavement. Warmth spread across her torso, sticky and insistent as she clutched the wound. Her hands came away crimson. The world tilted, edges going fuzzy. The child's scream pierced through the ringing in her skull. Worth it, she thought hazily. She'd kept him breathing. That counted for something. 9 corpses littered the ground around them, the hit squad sent to execute one terrified kid. She'd taken down every last one, even though she'd promised herself never again. No more killing, no more missions, no more of this life. But 3 minutes earlier, when his terrified voice had cut through the Seoul night, something primal had seized control. Instinct stronger than her desire to fade into nothing. Welcome back, friends. This is Prince of Afro-Korean stories, where passion, danger, and impossible romance intersect. Please keep sharing your ideas for future episodes. And kindly like, share, and subscribe, and activate notifications so you never miss our latest content. Then drop a comment telling me your location, Seoul, Chicago, somewhere between. I want to know who's bold enough to hear what really happened. Now the bill was coming due. Footsteps echoed closer. Her vision swam as she focused on the figure approaching. Tall, knife-sharp features, designer suit streaked with rain and gore. The Korean crime lord whose execution she just interrupted. His expression carved from ice, eyes empty as winter as he leveled his weapon at her skull. Papa, no. The boy couldn't be older than 12, uniform soaked with blood and terror burning in his gaze, launched himself between them. She saved my life. She's not with them. The boss's finger tensed on the trigger. Half a breath. That's all the distance between her death and her survival. She watched the war play out behind his eyes, surprise bleeding into understanding, then something almost like regret before his features went completely dead. Whatever emotion had flickered there, he crushed it utterly. Boss. Armed men in black materialized from everywhere at once, weapons ready, scanning the slaughter. We've got maybe 4 minutes before law enforcement arrives. What about her? The boss studied her like she was a puzzle with missing pieces. She held his stare, her blood creating a spreading pool, consciousness threatening to slip away entirely. She should speak. Maybe beg. But she'd fled to Seoul 8 months back planning to disappear permanently, to cease existing. Dying in some forgotten alley while protecting a child seemed almost poetic. Better than what she'd earned after losing Marcus. Take her with us, the boss commanded, voice completely flat. We'll see if she survives. 2 guards hauled her up by the shoulders. White-hot agony tore through her side and she swallowed the scream threatening to escape, tasting blood. Everything went white. When sight returned, she was being dragged into a black SUV. The boy's small fingers wrapped around hers, surprisingly fierce. It's going to be fine, he promised in carefully practiced English, each syllable deliberate. Papa's the best doctor. He'll save you. She wanted to explain that some damage runs too deep, that she'd been shattered long before tonight's bullet, but darkness was pulling her under like a riptide. Her final image before unconsciousness claimed her was the boss's face reflected in the mirror, watching her with eyes that betrayed absolutely nothing. Reality returned in pieces. Harsh fluorescent glare. Antiseptic cutting through the copper smell. Rapid Korean she couldn't decipher. Pain hovering somewhere distant, like it belonged to a stranger. Blood pressure falling. Move quicker. Eyes reactive. She's a fighter. No identification, no records in any system. Boss, this woman doesn't exist. That final part came in English. Maybe intended for her ears, maybe for the boss lurking outside her sightline. She attempted movement, but her body had become impossibly heavy. Someone was cutting her clothes away, gloved hands examining the wound. Every instinct from countless operations screamed at her to fight, escape, run. But her limbs refused orders. Entry and exit. Missed major organs by millimeters, massive blood loss. I need to, the medical terminology dissolved into machine sounds. Surgery. They were operating right here, wherever here was. Not a hospital. Somewhere private, untraceable, somewhere she couldn't leave. The realization should have terrified her. Instead, as sedatives dragged her down, she felt only hollow disappointment. She'd had a clean ending, a bullet while saving a child. Redemption and release in one package. Now she was trapped in whatever nightmare this turned into. Indebted to the man who tried to execute her. Dragged back into the world she'd abandoned. Marcus's face surfaced from memory. That gap-toothed grin, his laugh, how he'd wrap around her legs after deployments. 8 years old and already mirror her in ways that ached. Used to ache. Past tense, because Marcus was gone and it was her fault, and she'd spent 8 months in Seoul gathering courage to complete what the contractors' assassination team had begun. The darkness offered mercy. She surrendered. Time fragmented. Sometimes awareness surfaced, ceiling tiles, muffled voices, the boy's concerned face hovering above her. Other times just fever nightmares and phantom agony, and Marcus calling through smoke and flames while she ran toward him, but the distance never closed. When genuine consciousness finally clawed back, she had no concept of elapsed time. Small room, no windows, single lamp casting dim light. Medical monitors beeped rhythmically. Her right side was professionally bandaged. Testing movement brought real pain, but bearable. Days had passed then. Maybe a full week. The door cracked open. The boy slipped inside, moving like a shadow. When he saw her open eyes, his entire expression transformed. "You're awake." He kept his voice low. "I knew you'd make it. I told Papa you were strong." "Where am I?" Her throat felt like broken glass. The boy immediately grabbed water, helping her drink. The simple kindness twisted something in her chest. Papa's secure location in Gangnam. He settled into the bedside chair like he'd logged serious hours there. "You've been unconscious 5 days. The doctor said you nearly died. Twice. 5 days. The contractors had probably written her off by now. Or they were checking every medical facility in Seoul. Either way, remaining here endangered everyone. "I have to leave." "Papa says you can't." Matter of fact, like discussing weather. "You don't have papers, no records. The guards found nothing about you. Papa wants answers." Naturally. She dropped 9 bodies with a bullet wound, displaying skills that screamed professional operator. Any intelligent crime boss would demand explanations before releasing that kind of threat. "What's your name?" She deflected. "Miho." His smile carried echoes of his mother, whoever she was, wherever she'd gone. This boy had known love once. "What's yours?" She nearly spoke her real name. Caught it. Sarah. The identity she'd used in Seoul. Forgettable, generic. "Where's your mother, Miho?" His smile evaporated. "She died when I was 7. Bad people killed her." The casual way he stated it somehow made it worse. A child who'd learned too early that the world devours parents without warning. She understood that lesson intimately. I'm sorry. It's okay. Papa protects me now. Miho studied her with unnerving intensity for a child. You lost someone too. I can see it. She looked away. You should go. Your father won't approve of this. Papa said I could visit when you woke. He said you saved me. Miho's hand found hers, warm and trusting. Thank you for protecting me even though you got hurt. The twist in her chest tightened painfully. She couldn't afford this. Couldn't let herself care about this boy, let his gratitude penetrate her armor. She was already dead, had been for 8 months. The only reason she still breathed was cowardice, inability to finish it herself. I need rest. The lie tasted bitter. Miho nodded, unbothered. Okay. I'll return later. At the door, he paused. Papa wants to talk too. When you're ready. He has questions. Of course he did. After Miho left, she assessed her situation. The wound was mending, she could feel the deep ache of tissue repairing. Professional work. Her clothes had been replaced with loose cotton pants and a shirt. No restraints, but testing the door confirmed it was locked from outside. Prisoner, then. She'd survived worse. The contractors' black site in Yemen. That cartel compound in Guadalajara. This almost felt comfortable comparatively, meaning either they didn't know her capabilities or had sufficient security to not worry. Time to discover which. She spent 3 hours testing mobility, working through pain, cataloging what her body could accomplish. The wound would slow her but not stop her. Her boots remained in the closet, they'd kept those at least. No weapons, no phone. Medical equipment was bolted down. The window was painted over but she detected air movement. Ventilation shaft, potentially. She'd need tools. When the door opened again, it wasn't Miho. Him. The boss. Up close he looked younger than she'd estimated. Mid-30s perhaps, with features that had witnessed too much and learned to reveal nothing. He moved like a predator, economical and controlled, and his eyes when they locked with hers showed absolutely nothing. You're awake. Statement, not question. Cameras, probably. You shot me. You were covered in blood, holding my son, surrounded by corpses. I made a tactical assessment. No apology. No remorse. He tells me you saved him. I did. Why? She nearly laughed. Because he's a child about to be murdered. I don't require better motivation than that. He examined her like something to be disassembled and understood. The men you killed belonged to the Jade Dragons. Rival operation. They used another child as bait for my son. Orchestrated a trap. His jaw barely tightened. By the time I located him, you'd already eliminated all 9. Eliminated. She let the sterile word hang. One perspective. Who are you? Sarah. I told your son. Sarah with no surname doesn't exist. He produced his phone, displayed empty search results. Sarah is a phantom. A very convenient phantom who happened to be in that alley with military-grade combat training and zero identification. So I'll ask again. Who are you? She met his stare. Said nothing. His expression remained unchanged but something shifted in the atmosphere. Tension. Threat. I could force the truth from you. You could try. 3 seconds of locked gazes. Then he pocketed the phone. You're breathing because my son requested mercy. That debt is settled. But you're not leaving until I know you're not a threat to my family. So I'm a prisoner. I'm keeping you protected. Every hospital in Seoul is under surveillance. The Jade Dragons want payback. You killed 9 of their operators. They'll hunt you the moment you surface. Here, you're safe. I didn't request your protection. No. His gaze sharpened. You requested nothing. You just fought like someone with nothing left to lose. That interests me. That warrants understanding. Before she could respond, before she could tell him exactly where he could shove his interest, he was gone. The door locked with finality. Alone again. Trapped. Protected. Same thing when you couldn't leave. She pressed her hand against the bandage and felt rage building, not at him but at herself, at the universe, at whatever cosmic cruelty kept her alive when all she wanted was peaceful oblivion. Marcus deserved better than a mother who'd failed him. Who'd been too arrogant, too confident to see the trap until too late. Who'd arrived home to find their apartment engulfed and her baby already gone. The contractors had wanted to deliver a message. They'd succeeded. Now she was here. In Seoul. In a crime boss's safe house. Owing debts she never wanted. Trapped in a life she tried to escape. The cruelty would be funny if it wasn't so devastatingly painful. She lay back, stared at the ceiling, tried to think about nothing at all. 3 weeks. That's how long they confined her to recovery before she decided enough was enough. The wound healed slower than ideal. Infection struck on day 8, requiring additional antibiotics and setting her back. But her body had always excelled at surviving damage that should have killed her. Special operations conditioning and fortunate genetics. The same gifts that made her valuable to the contractors. The same gifts that got Marcus murdered. She waited for the guard rotation. She'd timed it precisely. 3 a.m. A 90-second window when the exterior hallway stood empty. The lock was quality but not impossible. She had a hairpin and 12 years breaking into restricted areas. Took 70 seconds. The door clicked. Released. The corridor was dark, plush carpet absorbing her footsteps. She moved like smoke, like absence. Every instinct from hundreds of operations singing through her veins. 2 doors down. Stairs at the terminus. No visible cameras, but that meant nothing. She reached the stairs, descended 3 steps, then heard Miho's voice behind her. You're leaving. She froze. Turned. The boy stood in his pajamas, barefoot, watching her with those ancient eyes. Return to bed, Miho. Papa said you try running. He didn't move. He said people like you always do. People like me? People who are hurting inside. Who lost someone. Miho approached. You think leaving stops the pain. You don't understand anything about me. I know you saved my life when you didn't have to. I know you have nightmares. I heard you screaming last night. I know. His voice fractured slightly. I know you're the first person besides Papa who made me feel safe since Mama died. The word struck like ammunition. She forced herself to stay cold. That's not my responsibility, kid. I know. His eyes were wet but he wasn't crying. But Papa says you can't leave yet anyway. The bad men are searching for you. They'll kill you. Then they'll kill me. She turned, started down the stairs again. That's when she heard it. The front entrance crashing inward. Shouts in Korean. Gunfire. Contractors. They'd located her. She moved on pure instinct, grabbing Miho and yanking him away from the stairs as bullets shredded the walls. The boy didn't scream, just clung to her, trembling but silent. Trained for this. What kind of existence had this child lived? More gunfire from below. The boss's team engaging. She needed a weapon. Needed to secure Miho. Needed. A figure materialized at the stair top. Black tactical gear. Professional. He spotted her, weapon rising. She was already moving, shoving Miho toward a doorway as she launched herself at the shooter. No weapon, no backup. Just her body and training and the crystalline clarity of survival instinct. She caught his wrist, redirected as he fired. The round went wide. She drove her knee into his solar plexus, twisted, used his momentum to send him tumbling down the stairs. Grabbed his weapon mid-fall. Pistol. Full magazine. 15 rounds. Miho, hide. She didn't verify he obeyed. 2 more contractors ascending. She shot the first through the throat. The second got a round off that grazed her shoulder. Pain, sharp and clean, but not crippling. She put 2 in his chest. The gunfire below intensified. She could hear the boss commanding in Korean. How many contractors? How many of his men? She needed to get down there. Needed to. Something detonated. The entire structure shook. Smoke and debris surged up the stairwell. Footsteps behind her. She spun, weapon raised. The boss. Blood streaking his face. Fury blazing in his eyes. Get my son out of here, he snarled. Where? Rear bedroom. Fire escape. Go. More contractors flooding in. She saw them through the smoke. Professional kill team. Coordinated. Highly trained. The kind of operators the contractors deployed when they wanted clean elimination. The kind she used to be. She ran for the bedroom, found Miho huddled in the closet exactly where she'd instructed. Smart child. Come. We're leaving. Papa. Your father handles himself. Move. She pulled him out, checked the fire escape. Currently clear. They descended, her wounds screaming with each movement. Fresh blood soaking her shirt. 3 flights. 2. 1. They hit the alley and she saw them. 2 more contractors flanking the exit. Ambush. They'd anticipated her escape route. She pushed Miho behind her, raised the pistol. 12 rounds remaining. 2 targets. Simple mathematics. The contractors smiled. They had her cornered. Then the boss materialized from the side entrance like death incarnate and the alley transformed into violence. He moved like lethal poetry. Like every brutal thing she'd witnessed in war zones distilled into one man. 3 shots. Both contractors down. He grabbed her arm. Vehicle. Now. They ran. Miho between them, the boy's hand in hers. An SUV screeched around the corner. More of his men. They piled in. The driver accelerated before the doors closed. Gunfire shattered the rear window. She threw herself over Miho, shielding him with her body as glass rained down. Return fire from the boss's team. The SUV swerved, accelerated, then they were racing through Seoul's pre-dawn streets, sirens wailing distantly. Drop a comment right now. Should she have stayed and fought or was running the smart move? Smash that like button if you're as hooked as I am. They drove 20 minutes, switching vehicles twice before entering an underground garage in Songpa district. Different safe house. Different sector. More fortified than before. She felt the adrenaline crash approaching, hands beginning to shake. The wound had reopened. Not severely, but blood seeped through bandages. The graze on her shoulder burned. Get her inside, the boss commanded into his phone, Korean flying. And secure my son. No. Miho grabbed her hand again. I stay with her. Miho. She protected me, Papa. Got shot protecting me again. I stay with her. The boss looked between them, something complicated crossing his features. Anger. Gratitude. Something else she couldn't identify. Fine. But medical room. Both of you. This safe house was larger. Steel reinforced doors. Security cameras everywhere. The doctor was waiting. Same one from before. He saw her wound and started cursing in Korean. The stitches held, but you're bleeding again. Table. Now. She complied. Miho settled in the corner, watching everything with those intense eyes. The boss stood by the door, phone pressed to his ear, but his gaze kept returning to her. The doctor worked efficiently. Local anesthetic this time, thank God. She gritted her teeth as he cleaned and restitched. Pain was familiar. Pain she could handle. What she couldn't handle was how Miho was looking at her. Like she was heroic. Like she mattered. They'll return, she said when the doctor finished. The contractors. They won't stop until I'm dead. I'm aware. The boss had ended his call. He dismissed the doctor with a gesture, waited until they had privacy. As much as possible with Miho present. The Jade Dragons were one problem. This is different. These were professionals. Military-grade training. American accents. His eyes bored into hers. You're not just running from a rival gang. You're running from something significantly bigger. She said nothing. One of the casualties had a radio. I heard what they called you before he died. The boss's voice went very quiet. Very dangerous. The lioness. They said killing you would earn a promotion. Her blood froze. So I'll ask one final time. And this time I want complete truth. He stepped closer. Who are you really? The anger that had been building for weeks, months, finally erupted. You want truth? Fine. My real name is Kendra Hayes. Former Special Operations. International contracts. Off the books wet work for clients who pay well and don't ask questions. I spent 12 years killing people for money. I was exceptional at it. The best. Her voice became razor-edged. Then I discovered my contractors were running weapons to cartels. Trafficking children. Working with the same monsters they were paying me to eliminate. I refused. I kept evidence. Encrypted files. Recordings. Everything. I refused to be their executioner anymore. She could feel the words cutting her throat but couldn't stop. So they dispatched a team to my apartment in Atlanta. Wanted it to look like a robbery gone wrong. But my 8-year-old son was home. Marcus. He was, her voice fractured. She forced it steady. They burned the building. Made certain I'd know it was them. Made certain I'd understand the cost of betrayal. I arrived 20 minutes too late. Found his body in what used to be his bedroom. He was still holding his dinosaur. The silence was absolute. Miho's hand found hers. She wanted to pull away but couldn't. I've been running 9 months. Seoul was supposed to be the terminus. Far enough from the contractors' typical operations that maybe I could just disappear. Die quietly. But then your son screamed in that alley and she laughed, bitter and broken. I couldn't let another child die. Couldn't. So I saved him and you shot me, and now the contractors know I'm here and they won't stop. They never stop. They'll demolish this building, your organization, everyone you love, just to reach me. She looked at the boss. So yes, I'm a threat to your family. I'm the biggest threat you've ever allowed inside your walls. You should execute me right now and dispose of my body in the Han River. It would be the intelligent play. The boss stared at her for a long moment. Then he pulled up a chair. Saturday. The men who killed your son. These contractors. They work for whom? Shadow networks. International corruption. Governments. Corporations. Anyone with sufficient money and willingness for dirty hands. I have evidence. Files. Recordings. Everything stored on an encrypted server with a dead man's switch. Enough to bring down officials in 7 countries. That's why they want me eliminated. Not revenge. Damage control. And you came to Seoul because I was exhausted. Because I wanted it finished. Because. She closed her eyes. Because every day I wake up and my son is still dead and it's still my fault. It's not your fault. Miho's voice was small but fierce. The bad men did it. Not you. I should have protected him. You tried. You couldn't. The boss's voice was flat. I lost my wife 5 years ago. Rival attack. She was in the wrong location at the wrong time. I had all the power, all the resources, and I couldn't save her. Miho was 7. He witnessed it. She opened her eyes. Really looked. Saw the same grief she carried reflected back. We blame ourselves, he continued. But the blame belongs to those who pulled the trigger. You didn't kill your son. They did. And now they're coming for you. Here. In my city. My territory. His expression hardened into something cold and lethal. That's unacceptable. She almost laughed. You can't fight them. They have resources. Connections. So do I. He leaned forward. You have information that powerful people want buried. I have an organization that specializes in keeping alive what others want dead. Your contractors made a mistake coming here. They assumed I'd surrender you. They assumed wrong. Why would you help me? You don't even know me. You saved my son twice. That debt isn't repaid with protection. It's repaid with loyalty. He stood. You want to die? You want to surrender? Fine. But not on my watch. Not while you're under my roof. And my name is Taejun Park. Use it. She wanted to argue, wanted to tell him he was making a mistake, but exhaustion was overwhelming. The blood loss and pain and weight of 9 months running finally crushing her shoulders. What do you want from me? She asked quietly. To survive. And while you're surviving, his eyes glinted. Former special ops. Military grade training. The lioness. You're going to train my men. Make them better. Make them ready for whatever's coming. And if I refuse? Then you're just occupying space until the contractors come again. Make yourself useful, Kendra Hayes. Or make yourself gone. He left. Took Miho with him despite the boys' protests. The door locked behind them. Alone again. But this time something was different. This time she had a name. A purpose. A reason to wake tomorrow that wasn't just momentum and cowardice. She pressed her hand to her bandaged side and felt the anger transforming into something else. Something sharper. Cleaner. The contractors wanted her dead. They'd taken everything from her. Her son. Her career. Her life. Maybe it was time to take something back. For days later, once the doctor cleared her for light activity, Taejun came to her room with a proposition. My men are assembled in the training facility downstairs. I want you to demonstrate your capabilities. I'm still healing. I know. That's the point. Show them what wounded looks like when it's trained and motivated. You still with me? Comment below if you're feeling what I'm feeling right now, because this story is about to go somewhere none of us expected. She followed him down. The facility was professional. Mats. Equipment. Weapons secured in cases along the wall. 20 men waited. Various sizes and shapes. All with the hard eyes of career criminals. They looked at her with undisguised skepticism. A woman. A black woman. A foreigner. Wounded. She could read their thoughts like text. This is Kendra, Taejun said in English, then repeated something in Korean. Some of you know her as the Lioness. Former Special Operations. She's going to train you. One of the men, big, scarred, arms like tree trunks, laughed. Train us? Boss, with respect, she can barely stand. Then it should be simple for you to take her down. Taejun gestured. Go ahead. Show us. The man looked uncertain, but his pride wouldn't allow retreat before his brothers. He stepped onto the mat. She met his eyes. Ground rules. You try to kill me. I try to kill you. First one who taps or stops moving loses. I'm not going to hurt. She moved. Fast. Inside his guard before he could react. Swept his leg. Used his weight against him. Had him on the ground with her knee on his throat in under 3 seconds. You're what? She asked quietly. He tapped. She released him. The room was silent. Someone else, Taejun said. They came at her one by one. She put them down every time. Not through strength, she couldn't match them there. Not with the wound slowing her. Through technique. Through reading their movements before they made them. Through 12 years learning how to kill efficiently. By the time she dropped the 5th man, they were watching her differently. Respect. Maybe some fear. One of them, younger than the rest, mid-20s, sharp eyes and a fighter's build, stepped forward. I'm Jean, he said in accented English. Teach me. The lioness doesn't rely on being biggest or strongest, she said, breathing hard, sweat stinging the wound. She relies on being smarter. Faster. More willing to do what needs to be done. That's what I'm going to teach you. How to fight like you have nothing to lose. Because someday you won't. Taejun nodded. Training starts tomorrow. 6 a.m. Don't be late. The men filed out, muttering in Korean. She caught some of it. Her language skills were basic but improving. They were impressed. Wary. Good. Both were useful. Taejun stayed behind. You're bleeding again. She looked down. Fresh blood on her shirt. It happens. The doctor. I'm fine. I've had worse. She met his eyes. You're using me. Making me an asset. I understand. But understand something. I'm not staying. Once the contractors are handled. Once I'm not a threat to you and Miho anymore. I'm gone. Where will you go? Does it matter? It does. If you're planning to die, my son has already lost his mother. I won't let him become attached to someone who's planning to leave too. The words hit harder than they should. Then keep him away from me. He won't stay away. He's stubborn. Like his mother. Like you. Taejun stepped closer. You're not the only one who's lost everything, Kendra. The difference is I'm still fighting. Still here for him. Good for you. You could be too. Still here. Still fighting. For what? The anger flared hot and sudden. My son is dead. The contractors will never stop hunting me. I have evidence that could bring down half the corrupt officials in the international community, but releasing it would just paint a bigger target on my back. There's no endgame where I win. There's just survival until I can't survive anymore. Then make yourself worth surviving for. He turned to leave, paused at the door. The contractor we captured from the attack. He's in the basement. Thought you might want a conversation with him. Her heart rate spiked. What kind of conversation? The kind where you get answers. The kind where you figure out who's pulling the strings. His eyes were cold. And the kind where you decide if you want revenge or if you want to keep running. He left her alone with that choice. She went to the basement. The contractor was secured to a chair, bloodied but conscious. Ex-military. She could tell from his bearing. Professional. He looked up when she entered. Something like recognition crossed his face. The lioness herself. They said you were dead. They were wrong. She pulled up a chair. Sat across from him. Who sent you? He laughed. You know I can't tell you that. You will eventually. Question is whether you do it the easy way or the hard way. I've been through worse than whatever you can do. I'm sure you have. But here's the thing. She leaned forward. I don't need you to tell me names. I already know the names. I have the evidence. What I need to know is why now? Why come after me in Seoul? I've been here 8 months. Why wait? Something flickered in his eyes. They didn't know I was here, she said slowly, reading him. Not until recently. Not until I appeared on someone's radar. The alley. The bodies. Someone noticed. He said nothing, but she could see she was right. Who's watching the morgues? The hospitals. Who called it in? You're already dead, lioness. You just don't know it yet. We're the first team. There are others. They'll keep coming until. She moved fast. Her fist connected with his throat. Not hard enough to kill. Just hard enough to cut off his air. He gasped, eyes bulging. My son was 8 years old. He collected dinosaurs. He wanted to be a paleontologist. Your people burned him alive to teach me a lesson. So you'll forgive me if I don't have much patience for threats. She released him. Let him breathe. They'll kill everyone around you. He wheezed. Everyone you care about. That's protocol. Eliminate the target and anyone who might have been contaminated with the information. The boss upstairs. His kid. All of them dead because of you. The words landed like bullets. Unless you surrender. Come in. We'll make it clean. Quick. And everyone else lives. She stood. Looked down at him. You know what the funny thing is? I almost believe you. That they'd let them live. But we both know how this really works. Once I'm gone, everyone who's seen me, everyone who knows anything, they're loose ends. And your people don't leave loose ends. She walked to the door. Paused. You're going to die down here. You know that, right? Taejun doesn't leave witnesses. But before you do, think about this. You're dying for people who'd burn your family just as fast as they burned mine if it served their purposes. At least I know what I'm fighting for. She left him there. Went upstairs. Found Taejun in his office, staring at security feeds. He told you they're coming, he said without looking up. He told me everyone around me is a target. That they won't stop until every potential witness is eliminated. She stood in the doorway. I should leave. Now. Before they track me here. They already know you're here. Leaving won't change that. Then I'm endangering you and Miho by staying. You're endangering us either way. He finally looked at her. The question is whether we face it together or separately. I choose together. Why? You barely know me. I know you saved my son twice. I know you're trained, capable, motivated. I know you have information that powerful people want buried. That makes you valuable. He stood. Moved to the window. And I know what it looks like when someone has given up. I saw it in the mirror for 3 years after my wife died. Until Miho reminded me I had something worth living for. I'm not looking for a pep talk. I'm not giving you one. I'm giving you a choice. He turned to face her. Stay. Train my men. Help me prepare for what's coming. We fight the contractors together. We expose the corrupt officials with your evidence. We make them pay for what they took from you. From both of us. Or you leave right now. I'll give you money, a vehicle, and you can run until they catch you. Which they will. Maybe in a week. Maybe in a month. But eventually you'll be alone and outnumbered and they'll put you down like they should have 9 months ago. She wanted to argue, wanted to tell him he was wrong. But he wasn't. If I stay, they'll come hard. I'm counting on it. I want them to come. I want them to see what happens when they bring violence to my territory. His eyes were dark and cold. You're not the only one who wants revenge, Kendra. The Jade Dragons used my son as bait. The contractors invaded my safe house. They've made this personal. I'm going to make them regret that. She studied him. Saw the same cold fury she carried. The same willingness to burn everything down for the people they loved. What do you get out of this? Really? The Jade Dragons destroyed. The contractors sent running. My organization stronger. My son safer. He paused. And maybe if we're lucky, we both get to stop looking over our shoulders waiting for the bullet we know is coming. It was insane. Suicidal. Everything logical said to refuse, to run, to not drag these people into her war. But she was so tired of running. I'll stay, she said quietly. But on one condition. Name it. If it comes down to it. If they breach your defenses and it's me or Miho, you save your son. You let them take me. You don't hesitate. Promise me. Taejin's expression didn't change. I don't make promises I won't keep. If it comes down to it, we fight. All of us. Together. That's the only promise I'll make. It should have bothered her. Should have made her angrier. Instead, she felt something shift in her chest. Something that felt almost like hope. When do we start? Now. He pulled up a file on his computer. These are the Jade Dragon's known locations. We're going to hit them hard. Fast. Before they can coordinate with the contractors. And you're going to help me plan it. She moved to the desk. Looked at the intel. Her mind was already working. Categorizing threats. Identifying weaknesses. Building strategy. You'll need 3 teams. Hit them simultaneously. They won't expect that. They think you're on the defensive. Keep going. They worked through the night. By dawn they had a plan. Aggressive. Dangerous. But possible. As the sun rose, Taejun called his lieutenants in. Explained the strategy. They looked skeptical until Kendra broke down the tactics. The timing. The contingencies. Jean, the young fighter who'd asked her to teach him, nodded along, his sharp eyes tracking every detail. Then they looked impressed. We move in 4 days, Taejun said. Get your teams ready. The men filed out. She started to follow, but he stopped her. Get some rest. You're still healing. I'm fine. You're bleeding through your bandages again and you can barely stand straight. Rest. That's an order. She wanted to argue, but exhaustion was a physical weight. Fine. But I'm monitoring the operation remotely. Non-negotiable. I wouldn't expect anything less. If this hooked you already, don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop a comment, because what happens next will absolutely shatter your expectations. She made it back to her room. Collapsed on the bed. Sleep should have come easily, but instead she lay there staring at the ceiling, mind racing. Marcus's face surfaced from memory. His laugh. His smile. How he'd curl up against her when he had nightmares and she'd tell him stories about brave knights and dragons until he fell back asleep. She'd failed him. Failed to protect him when it mattered most. But maybe she could protect Miho. Could make sure he didn't lose his father the way he'd lost his mother. Could make sure the contractors learned that killing children had consequences. It wasn't redemption. Nothing would ever give her that. But it was something. A purpose. A reason to wake up tomorrow. She closed her eyes. For the first time in 9 months she didn't dream about fire and screaming. She dreamed about Seoul streets. About fighting. About standing her ground instead of running. When she woke it was evening. Someone had left food by her door. Rice. Soup. Something that smelled amazing. She ate mechanically, tasting nothing, mind already on the upcoming operation. A soft knock. Miho's voice. Can I come in? Yeah. He entered carrying a book. Papa's in meetings. I thought maybe I could read here. If that's okay. She should say no. Should keep distance. But she nodded. He settled into the chair. Opened his book. Some fantasy novel in Korean with an English title. Harry Potter. You like that series? She asked. It's my favorite. Mama used to read it to me before, he trailed off. Now I read it myself. It helps. Remembering her voice. Kendra felt something twist in her chest. What was she like? Your mother. Miho's face lit up. Beautiful. Kind. She laughed constantly. Papa was different when she was alive. He smiled more. She made everything feel safe. Yeah. I know. What was your son like? The question should have hurt. Did hurt. But she found herself answering anyway. Intelligent. Funny. Stubborn as hell. He'd argue with me about everything. Bedtime. Vegetables. Homework. But when it mattered, when someone needed help, he was always first there. He had this enormous heart. Her voice cracked. Too big for this world. Maybe. I wish I could have met him. Me too. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Miho reading. Her pretending to rest while actually running through mission parameters in her head. Kendra. Miho looked up. Are you going to leave after you help Papa? I don't know. I hope you don't. Papa's different when you're around too. Better. Like maybe he's not alone anymore. Before she could respond, Taejun appeared in the doorway. Miho. Bed. Now. But. Now. The boy reluctantly left, casting one more hopeful look at her before disappearing down the hall. Taejun stayed. You don't have to engage with him. I know you're not planning to stay. He's a good kid. He is. And he's already lost too many people. I won't let him lose another. Then keep him away from me. I've tried. He doesn't listen. Taejun leaned against the doorframe. He sees something in you. Hope. Maybe someone who understands loss but keeps fighting anyway. I'm not a role model. Maybe not. But you're here. You're alive. For him that's enough. He left before she could argue. She lay back down. Stared at the ceiling again. In 4 days they'd hit the Jade Dragons. In 4 days she'd be back in the field. Doing what she did best. Controlled violence in service of a goal. It should have felt wrong. Should have felt like she was sliding back into the life she'd tried to escape. Instead it felt like coming home. The operation went flawlessly. 3 simultaneous strikes on Jade Dragon strongholds. Taejun's men executed the plan perfectly. Her tactical oversight from the command center meant minimal casualties on their side. She'd coordinated via radio, calling adjustments in real time, her mind sharp and clear in a way it hadn't been in months. Jean had led one of the teams. Proved himself capable and intelligent. When they returned victorious, his men looked at her differently. Not just respect now. Trust. But the victory was temporary. 5 days later, while she was in the training facility working through forms with Jean and a few others, the alarms erupted. Red lights. Gunfire from outside. Contractors. They'd found them again. She grabbed a weapon from the rack. Pistol. Checked the magazine. Full. Ran for the stairs. Met Taejun coming down. Blood on his face. Fury in his eyes. How many? She demanded. 15. Maybe more. Professional team. They breached the perimeter. Miho? Safe room. But they're coming for you, Kendra. They don't care about collateral damage anymore. They're ready to level this entire building. More gunfire. Explosions. The structure shook. I need to lead them away. Draw them off. That's suicide. That's the point. They want me. Fine. But not here. Not with Miho in the building. She ran before he could stop her. Out the back exit into the alley. And there they were. 3 contractors in tactical gear. Weapons raised. They saw her and smiled. There she is. The lioness. Command's going to celebrate when we bring your head back. She raised her pistol. Counted the rounds mentally. 15. 3 targets. Simple mathematics. You'll have to catch me first. She ran. They followed. Exactly as planned. 3 blocks. 4. Leading them away from the safe house. Away from Miho. Away from everything. Her wound pulled with every step, but she pushed through the pain. The contractors were gaining. Younger. Faster. Not carrying 9 months of grief and a healing bullet wound. She ducked into another alley. Spun. Fired twice. Dropped one. The other 2 found cover. Returned fire. Bullets sparked off brick inches from her head. 13 rounds left. 2 targets. She could do this. She moved. Using shadows. Circling around. The contractors were good, but she'd been doing this longer. She got the angle. Lined up the shot. Squeezed the trigger. Click. Jam. The weapon had malfunctioned. The contractor heard it. Stepped out of cover. Weapon raised. That same smile on his face. Out of luck. Unfortunate. She dropped the weapon. Pulled her knife. Always had a knife. Charged. No choice now. Close quarters or death. The contractor fired, but she was already moving inside his guard. The bullet grazed her ribs. Pain. Sharp and immediate. She drove the knife up under his vest. Between the ribs. Into his heart. He went down. Eyes wide with shock. She stood there. Breathing hard. Blood on her hands. Pain radiating from her side and ribs. 2 wounds now. The old one and the new graze. She was running on fumes. Footsteps. More contractors. She turned. Knife ready. Gunfire. 4 contractors dropped before they could reach her. Taejun stepped out from behind her. Smoking gun in hand. Jean and 4 more of his men with him. You really thought I'd let you die alone? He walked past the bodies. Grabbed her arm. We're partners now. Remember? We fight together or not at all. I was trying to save. I know what you were trying to do. And it was stupid. Brave. But stupid. He pulled her toward his vehicle. More contractors are coming. We need to leave. Now. Where? Somewhere they won't find us. Somewhere off the grid. I have a place. If you're still here, subscribe, because stories like this only work when people stay. They drove for hours. Out of Seoul. Into the mountains. By the time they reached the compound, fortified, remote, defensible, the sun was setting. The doctor was already there. Brought ahead of them. He looked at her new wound, the graze along her ribs, and shook his head. You're collecting bullet wounds like trophies. On the table. This time the treatment was faster. The graze was cleaned. Bandaged. The old wound checked. Still healing properly despite the strain she'd put on it. You need rest. Real rest. No training. No operations. Nothing for at least a week. That's not doctor's orders, Taejun said. And mine. She wanted to argue but exhaustion was finally catching up. She nodded. That night she couldn't sleep. Kept seeing the contractor's gun raised. Kept feeling that acceptance of death. How easy it would have been to just let it happen. But Taejun had stopped her. Saved her. Again. She found him on the balcony. Staring at the mountains. Can't sleep either? He asked without turning. Too wired. She joined him at the railing. Thank you. For today. For not letting me die. Don't thank me. I need you. This fight isn't over. Is that the only reason? He finally looked at her. No. The word hung between them. Heavy with meaning. Taejun. I know it's complicated. We're in the middle of a war. You're still grieving. I'm still, he stopped. Started again. But I need you to know. When I thought they'd killed you today. When I saw you facing them down in that alley. Something in me broke. I'd been cold for 5 years. Dead inside. Going through the motions for Miho's sake. But you make me feel again. And I don't know if that's good or terrifying or both. She couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. I can't give you what you want. I'm broken. Damaged. I wake up every day wishing I was dead. I know. I did too. Until recently. He moved closer. I'm not asking you to be healed. I'm asking you to stop trying to die. Can you do that? For Miho? For me? I don't know. Then let me ask you this. His hand found hers. When you were in that alley today. When you thought it was over. What did you think about? She closed her eyes. Marcus. And then I thought about Miho. About not being there to see him grow up. About leaving him alone. About, her voice cracked. About you. About not getting to see where this goes. Then that's your answer. He kissed her. Soft and careful. Tasting like hope and grief and possibility all mixed together. She kissed him back. Something in her chest cracking wide open. 9 months of walls crumbling all at once. When they pulled apart she was crying. I'm so scared, she whispered. I'm scared of caring again. Of losing again. Of. Me too. He held her face in his hands. But we do it anyway. We care anyway. Because the alternative is being dead inside. And we've both done that long enough. She nodded. Couldn't speak. Just held on to him like he was the only solid thing in a world that kept trying to tear her apart. They stood there for a long time. Watching the stars emerge over the mountains. And for the first time since Marcus died, Kendra Hayes let herself imagine a future that didn't end with a bullet. The next morning everything changed again. She woke to shouting. Alarms. Taejun was already gone from the bed they'd shared. Just sleeping. Just holding each other. But it felt like more. Like promise. She grabbed her weapon. ran for the security room. Taejun was there. Face grim. Watching multiple screens showing armed men surrounding the compound. How did they find us? She demanded. I don't know. But they're here. 25 contractors. Military-grade equipment. They're not playing anymore. Miho? Hidden. Safe. But we're pinned down. She studied the screens. Counted the attackers. Assessed their positions. We can't hold them off. There's too many. I know. Then what's the play? Taejun looked at her. You broadcast on their frequency. Tell them you'll surrender if they let everyone else go. No. Kendra. I said no. We don't negotiate with terrorists. We fight. This isn't your decision. Yes, it is. She grabbed his arm. Made him look at her. I'm done running. Done sacrificing myself. You taught me that. So we fight. Together. All of us. And if we die standing. He searched her face. Saw she meant it. You're insane. Maybe. But you're insane. So let's show these bastards what happens when they back the lioness into a corner. A slow smile spread across his face. I love it when you're terrifying. Get used to it. They planned fast. 3 defensive positions. Her strategy. His leadership. His men's loyalty. It was a long shot. But it was a shot. As his men took positions, as weapons were distributed, as final checks were made, Taejun pulled her aside. If this goes wrong. It won't. But if it does. I need you to promise me something. Get Miho out. There's a tunnel in the basement. Vehicle waiting half a kilometer away. Get him somewhere safe. Taejun. Promise me, Kendra. Please. He's everything. His voice broke. He's the only good thing I've ever made. Promise me. She wanted to refuse. Wanted to tell him they'd all survive. But she'd made too many promises she couldn't keep. I promise. He kissed her. Hard. Desperate. Tasting like goodbye. Then he was gone. Moving to his position. Barking orders in Korean. The contractors hit them 6 minutes later. The world exploded into violence. Gunfire. Explosions. Smoke and chaos and the sharp clarity that came with combat. She moved through it like she was born to it. Each shot placed with surgical precision. Each decision cold and clean. Jean fought beside her. Covering her blind spots. Learning in real time. They held. Barely. The contractors were good. But Taejun's men were motivated. And her tactics gave them the edge. But then she saw him. The lead contractor. Moving through the smoke toward the building's east wing. Where the safe room was. Where Miho was hidden. She didn't think. Just moved. Intercepted him at the corridor. Put 4 rounds in his chest. He went down. But not before triggering something. A radio call. A signal. More contractors converged on her position. Her magazine was empty. She dropped it. Reached for another. A contractor tackled her from the side. They went down hard. Her weapon skittered away. He was on top of her. Hands around her throat. Squeezing. Her vision started to darken. She clawed at his hands. His face. No effect. He was too strong. This was it. Gunshot. The contractor's head snapped back. He collapsed on top of her. Jean pulled the body off. Helped her up. You okay? She nodded. Gasping for air. Grabbed her weapon. Thanks. We're even now. He grinned. For the training. More gunfire erupted. They moved together. Covering each other. Pushing the contractors back. And then she saw Taejun. Surrounded. 4 contractors on him. He was fighting hard, but they were overwhelming him. She ran. Fired as she moved. Dropped 3. The 4th turned toward her. Taejun shot him in the back. Their eyes met across the smoke and chaos. He nodded. She nodded back. They fought their way to each other. Stood back to back. Facing the remaining contractors. Together, he said. Together. The final push. The contractors were breaking. Retreating. Victory within reach. And then she saw it. One last contractor. Wounded. Desperate. Raising his weapon toward Taejun's back. Too far for her to reach. Too far to stop him. She threw herself between them. Felt the bullet punch into her left shoulder. Spinning her around. Pain exploded through her arm. She went down on one knee. Jean shot the contractor before he could fire again. Taejun was there immediately. Catching her before she fell completely. Kendra. Stay with me. I'm okay, she gasped. Shoulder wound. Painful but not fatal. I'm okay. The gunfire was stopping. The contractors were down or fleeing. Police sirens in the distance. Someone had called them. Good. Let them come. Let them arrest whoever was left. Taejun helped her inside. The doctor appeared. Already moving toward her. 3rd bullet wound in 4 weeks, the doctor muttered. You're trying to get yourself killed. Not anymore, she said. Looked at Taejun. Not anymore. The doctor patched her up. Through and through in the shoulder. Clean. Would heal. She'd been lucky again. Miho emerged from the safe room. Saw her bandaged and bloody. Burst into tears. You're hurt again. You keep getting hurt because of us. She pulled him close with her good arm. Listen to me. I didn't get hurt because of you. I got hurt because I chose to protect your father. Because he matters to me. Because you both matter to me. Understand? But. No buts. She looked at Taejun over Miho's head. I'm staying. Really staying. If you'll have me. Taejun's hand found hers. Squeezed. Always. Miho looked up at her with those ancient eyes. Really? You promise? She thought about all the promises she'd broken. All the ways she'd failed the people she loved. But she looked at this boy. At his father. At the future she could see stretching out before them. Dangerous and uncertain and absolutely worth fighting for. And she made a promise she intended to keep. I promise. I'm not going anywhere. For the first time in 9 months, Kendra Hayes let herself believe in tomorrow. And it felt like coming home. We've reached the conclusion of our compelling African-Korean story. If this story moved you, smash that like button so hard it breaks and subscribe for more incredible true stories that prove love can heal the deepest wounds. Share this story with someone because this is just the beginning of Kendra's story. Will the contractors return with a bigger force? Can she really expose the corrupt officials without destroying everything she's built? And what happens when her past collides with her future? But I absolutely cannot make it happen without your support. Your support means everything to me. If you made it all the way to the end, you are an absolute legend. Drop a comment below telling us Team Kendra all the way, or did she make a mistake staying? I read every single one. Let us know. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.